Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Only Stupid Answers. This is the show where we answer your questions about movies, TV shows, comic books, MCU teases. That's right, gang. This week, we're going to be talking about all of the teases post-ENDGAME that Marvel has teed up and apparently is not going to pay off. And to talk about that with me is Roxy Starr. Hi, Roxy. Good morning.
I'm nervous about this one, DJ. I feel like there's probably more than I'm even thinking of.
Yeah, well, you and I have been covering this so long that I know when I was going through it, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that was even a thing. I forgot that we even did that. Oh my goodness. But before we dive into that, let us do a little bit of business up top. First things first, we're going to read some of the comments from last week. In last week, we were talking about the Agatha All Along finale. That's where these comments are pulled from, that episode where we're talking about the Agatha All Along finale. And I guess I think this comment is in relation to talking about superhero comedies with Wonder Man. We talked about the Marvel TV teases as well. Khalil's 4525 says, does The Tick and The Boys count as superhero comedy and satire? And I would say, yes, The Tick counts as a superhero comedy and The Boys counts as a superhero satire.
I would agree. I also just watched Kick-Ass for the first time.
Yes.
I know we're talking about television shows, but Kick-Ass is so great. Why didn't you have me watch that, DJ?
I'm sorry. Kick-Ass 2 is not as great. So maybe...
I also watched that one that hasn't been released yet, but you guys shall see.
Yeah.
I feel the same as you for sure.
Yeah.
But the first Kick-Ass is like...
a lot of fun.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, I kind of thought The Boys was... I thought that Logan was the originator of X-23 badass little girl.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that The Boys was the original of kind of like some of the raunchy, and then I was like, oh, Kick-Ass.
Yep, Kick-Ass. Andy Campbell 3929 says, I love both WandaVision and Agatha All Along. So good. Rewatching both of them is also just as amazing. So many details and foreshadowing. And then we've got Cryo 180. Talking about the Young Avengers of it all, I'm wondering if that wasn't one of the many things that Marvel was planning to do before the double punch of the pandemic and the realization that they were doing too much too quickly. They're probably more focused on figuring out what they're doing with the movie/major event stuff than the TV side, which seems to be where the Young Avengers stuff is coming from. What do you think about that?
Too much too quickly is. I just have a different assessment than, what was the name of this person?
Cryo 180.
Cryo 180 and I have a different assessment because I don't think that the pandemic happened and they were like, yeah, we're doing too much too soon. We should slow down.
Yeah, because most of those issues were post-pandemic. Like Black Widow came out post-pandemic.
And also now they're doing more than ever.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like they had this kind of like revelation during the pandemic and they're like, pump the brakes. I think that they were like, got to make up for lost time. High function. Yeah.
I think they are starting. Obviously, next year is slammed because of the stuff they were working on. But I know I've heard some conversation of like, hey, we're going to go back to like 2 movies a year. We're going to like slow down.
That's still so many, but yes.
Yeah.
I don't understand really how they could do that with the Avengers movies on the horizon, the Fantastic Four movies on the horizon.
Yeah.
All of the other characters that they've set up, like a Shang-Chi, the second movies on the horizon.
Theoretically.
Theoretically, just saying, how are you guys going to slow down? Are we not going to get some of these sequels until 2038?
Yeah. I don't know if we're getting a Shang-Chi one. I don't know what to make of that. Good segue. Sal and I, on my personal channel, we have a little video where we're talking about Spider-Man 4 and what we think Sony might be angling for in Spider-Man 4. And a big part of that conversation is the director of Shang-Chi, Destin Daniel Cretton, is now doing the new Spider-Man movie. Mm-hmm. And he was, before all the Jonathan Major stuff, he was doing, I thought just Kang Dynasty, but all the trades are like Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Like, I don't remember him being attached to Secret Wars, but sure. And so it's one of those, like, are we doing Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi 2? Is that still on the docket?
I don't know. I just don't see them slowing.
Yeah, yes. So speaking of my personal channel, you can also check out next Wednesday, Sal and I are doing another Krypton Academy. We're going to be talking about Superman 2. What else? Oh, if we talked about a little of this pre-show for patrons. This is not a political show. We're not getting into politics. However, on my personal channel, I do have a show called Trash Talk That's where I get into more personal stuff, and I am putting together a little something to unpack the election over there. So stay tuned for that over at DJ Talks Trash. If you want this show early, ad-free, watch it live, Patreon-exclusive content like Mutant Academy and what we're into, you can do that over at patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. But now, here is a little bit of news that I think pertains to our conversation today. And I don't know if you saw this, Roxy. Did you see the announcement that we're getting a new Star Wars trilogy?
No, I didn't see it. When did that come out?
That came out, good question, 2 days ago. Time is weird for me.
Yeah, no, this week I didn't pay attention to any news.
Why?
That was not news.
Why? So in the not news realm, wrong thing. It was announced that Simon Kinberg is set to write and produce a new Star Wars trilogy. This is via Deadline. Lucasfilm has closed a deal with Simon Kinberg to develop a trilogy of Star Wars films. Kinberg will write the trio and produce them with Lucasfilm chief Kathleen Kennedy. The writer of this Deadline article said that they heard that this will comprise episodes 10 through 12 of the Skywalker saga that began with George Lucas's 1977 first film. And so, for those that might not be familiar, Kinberg apparently also worked on the Star Wars Rebels animated series. And of course, he's a major architect for Fox's X-Men films, including writing and directing Dark Phoenix. So Roxy, since you're just hearing this now,
yeah,
how does this hit you?
So if this is episode 10 through 12, we're going forward.
One presumes. And so it is unclear how this would impact. There have been talks of a Rey movie focusing on Daisy Ridley's
Not just
Rey.
talks. I mean, she's spoken a lot about it.
And there's a director and all that stuff. Yeah. So is it this gonna loop that in? Is it gonna be a separate thing?
I actually feel like I have a different take on this as it's hitting me. I have a different take on this than I do when it comes to any of the other franchises. I believe in Star Wars and trilogies. I like Star Wars and trilogies. Like when it comes to DC and Marvel and a lot of other movies like a John Wick or even smaller franchise movies.
Yeah.
It's not that John Wick is small, but what I mean.
Comparatively. Yeah.
I feel like I keep saying, keep hitting singles, see what comes of it, build to something as opposed to making it this whole thing.
Yeah.
In Star Wars, this whole thing is kind of trilogies.
Yeah.
So, and we've never had a trilogy I didn't love.
Yeah.
So I know that I am not alone in that, but I am in the minority in that.
Yeah.
I love the original trilogy. I loved the prequels, and then I loved the sequels. So that kind of concept just works for me. I do think that hopefully they do learn their lesson, and because Simon is working on all three of these, that would make sense that there won't be a random one in the middle that contradicts the first one, and then the third one goes back to the first one after the second one made the first one not relevant to the third one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
But I do like the idea of trilogy. I think they're going to have to move mad far into the future, though, to not mess up their other plans, if that's their intention, to keep the things that are on their current slate.
Yeah.
But I don't know how far, because they're still obviously going to want that Skywalker juice.
Yes.
They're going to want that.
They want that Skywalker juice, man. We got to get that Skywalker juice in there.
What is? That's what I am calling everybody. I'm calling that all the legacy characters.
Yeah. So, I will say, I think my first thing with this is the Fox X-Men films didn't necessarily have the most stable track record. And so when it's like Simon Kinberg is going to be the pilot of the next three, he's going to be the architect of the next three Star Wars films. It's like, Simon Kinberg, huh? And then it's like, so I worked on Rebels. So it's like, okay, so maybe he's got a relationship with these people. But
that is an interesting choice. It's not an obvious choice. So it does make me wonder what were those meetings like?
Yeah.
Did Simon approached them with a concept?
Yeah.
Did they? Most likely not, because that's not usually how Star Wars seems to work.
No, and not in these big franchises.
If that's what happened, that would be cool, but I don't think that's what happened. Likely they think he's a reasonable gun for hire that they can kind of warp a little bit, but also has enough gravitas that he's a strong candidate. I don't know.
Yeah. So, but you did say something that it's like, you know what? If they did that, That could be cool because you said they would probably have to jump far enough in the future to not step on anything they're doing. And there was a comic, and forgive me, guys, I'm not the biggest Star Wars, like I don't know all the canon, right? But I want to say the comic was called Star Wars Legacy. And this was back in the day before Disney owned it. And so it was kind of like a Wild West as far as, there was a little bit more freedom. I think this stuff is labeled as Legends now. But the premise of it was, I think it jumped 100 years in the future. And you followed like Luke Skywalker's like great grandson or something like that. And then Luke showed up as a Force ghost. And that was pretty much the only direct connection to the previous trilogy. We're 100 years in the future. We're kind of away from everything else. It's like that. If you literally took that, like have Mark Hamill show up as a Force ghost, but otherwise, like we're in the future now. We're past the Empire. We're past all this. Whatever Rey did or didn't do, we're away from that. Like, and we're kind of, and that allows you a kind of a clean slate in the same way. And Star Wars fans are going to get their panties in a bunch over this, but in a similar way to the Acolyte was like, don't worry about any of that other shit. We're here now. And it's like, I liked that. I liked that I didn't have to worry about the other shit.
Yeah, I do think it's possible. I mean, when you think about the big three from the OG, right? We've got Han, Luke, and Leia.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say that they're bigger than Darth Vader because they're not, but you just think of them as the big three, right? Yeah. Poe, Finn, and Rey. That's how you think of in the sequels. Not as clean cut in the original, in the prequels, I guess.
Yeah, Anakin, Obi-Wan. Padme, probably. Those would be the...
Yeah, something along those lines.
The sequel trilogy really tried to mimic the original trilogy's makeup. Yeah.
So that's exactly what I'm going for, DJ, actually, is that I'm curious of kind of the structure of the three. Yes, I'm curious when and how close and if they are relevant to this time. I think it would be an absolutely wrong and wild choice to have in the sequels or in the 10, 11, 12, have one of the main characters be a Rey or a Poe or a Finn, because that to me wouldn't be what Star Wars does with its trilogies. Like if they're in the background or if they're come in for missions, cool. But I don't think that it should center on them. Although they do deserve a redo. It's like center the whole movie on Rose and watch me just flock towards it. Just because I will go watch it. If that's what you guys do, which they would never. No. But if they did, you have my eyes and my attention. So take my money.
But
I am curious what the structure is of these. Like, are they going to go kind of like the OG series, focus on 3, bring in some legacy characters, but we've got a new big 3, and it's going to be the one person to save it all at the center? Or are they going to have an ensemble cast? Is it going to be like, what are we doing that's different and new and fun and fresh?
It's always going to be kind of my instinct too of like, how do we take the core things that people recognize as Star Wars and do new and exciting things with them? But then the Acolyte did that and everybody hated it. And so it's like, I don't even know what you do with Star Wars at this point.
The thing is, DJ, go woke, go broke. You know that. So
I mean, we're not getting political, Roxy. We're actively going to avoid it, but...
Yeah, you're right. But I just think that there are other ways to make something new and fresh that might not piss off fanboys.
Do you really think? But for real though, do you really think that? Because I am kind of in the camp that I think they want. I think there's a large contingent of the fan base that want something that makes them is the original trilogy again. And they're not, without realizing you're a grown up now, you're never going to have that feeling again. That feeling's gone. You're chasing something that doesn't exist, and you're punishing people for something they can't accomplish.
It's an interesting theory. I don't necessarily believe you to be wrong, but I don't know. I'd like to believe that people can change, especially if you show them the way. If you make something great. Because the thing about Acolyte is, you and I really liked it. I wouldn't call it great. I thought it was good. I'm not saying if it had been great in the exact same people that they would have liked it, because they wouldn't have.
I know what you mean.
But there might be greatness in the future. I believe in there's a lot of talk right now, DJ, about people being like, Star Wars is doomed. Star Wars is over. Star Wars will never be what it was. This is the end of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way. I do feel like there have been several missteps. I know all of that has been pinned on Kathleen Kennedy.
I wonder why.
I don't necessarily feel that way either.
Yeah.
Obviously, financially, when coming to the movies, when speaking about the movies, Kathleen Kennedy has managed to produce highly, highly earnable films that have made millions and millions of dollars. So you can't take that from her.
Yeah.
Not saying that's the only thing that matters, but that does matter a lot to studios.
Yeah.
So I do believe in the future of Star Wars, whether it is with Kathleen Kennedy or without. I do think it's interesting that a lot of people think she's going to leave or get fired or quit after Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah.
They specifically only mentioned two people, Simon and her. They're working together hand in hand on the next trilogy, which makes me think that they believe that she is still part of that.
Yeah.
Not that you couldn't leave in the middle of something. People do it all the time. But.
Yeah. So speaking of that, here's my last question, because it does pertain directly to our main topic for today, which is Star Wars, like a lot of big franchises, has a recent track record of announcing things that never see the light of day. What do you think the likelihood is of this happening?
I think that this would be the most egregious one to never see the light of day.
Yeah.
Because they really need a game plan right now.
Mm-hmm.
They are, you just heard me say that I don't think that they're doomed. They are falling behind.
Yeah.
We seem to have a very clear game plan from DC right now.
Mm-hmm.
DC is like, we have a plan.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, we scrapped everybody. We are moving forward. This is our plan. Here are our leaders.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing. Marvel right now is like, we are putting together a plan. Fantastic Four is definitely going to be new. X-Men, not sure, new, not, but going to be doing it. That we have things in the future people are still excited for. Star Wars right now, even Harry Potter has a plan right now.
Yeah. Like it or not.
Like it or not.
Yeah.
What is the Star Wars plan right now? Star Wars plan has been announce thing, cancel it. Announce thing, fire somebody. Announce thing, cancel it. There's no plan. A trilogy with one person helming it is a plan.
Yeah.
And I think that if you now say that's not happening, I think people are going to lose their goddamn mind.
Yeah. Well, speaking of announcing things and maybe or maybe not having a plan, let's head on over to our main topic for today. We've been talking about doing this for a little bit. I can't remember what made me think of it. You know what? I don't remember, but I think it was, I got a newborn.
You were watching something and you were annoyed.
Yeah.
Is it Deathstroke? No, that's DC. But I honestly feel like it was a Deathstroke thing that made you think like, how many comic book things never happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got a newborn, so I'm rewatching stuff, and I was just thinking about all these little teases. We've gotten a lot of setup. Maybe some of the announcements, whatever. It doesn't matter. Point is, we've had a lot of things post Endgame. Marvel has teed up a lot of stuff that may or may not ever see the light of day, and truthfully, it's probably a little bit around the Billy stuff, Young Avengers conversation. You and I have been having this Young Avengers conversation for a couple episodes now about how
it's just been you and me.
Yeah,
so weird.
We keep setting up Young Avengers without a Young Avengers movie on the slate. And we keep setting up, I pointed out, or a TV show, and I pointed out last week a lot of the Avengers characters we've done in post Endgame world, Moon Knight, Wonder Man, Cersei, Black Knight. Those are characters typically attributed to the West Coast Avengers. No sign of that sort of thing going on. So I thought now might be a good time to go back and go through all of the stuff Marvel has announced, set up, teased, and see whether we think anything will ever come of it.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head, Roxy, you said that you might not remember all of them. Is there one?
No, I can't think of one. I can't think of one.
There's not one that you're
the
like.
only thing that I can think of, literally, when you say that off the top of my head, the only thing that I can think of is Michael Keaton coming back in a posts. I don't know what movie we were
It was
in. And he
Morbius.
showed up.
It was Morbius.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So that's not even
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
He showed up in like a desert something. And I was
Yeah,
like,
he
what's
showed up to
happening
be
here?
like Morbius. Roxy, you probably haven't heard the news about that either. I'm probably going to do a little conversation with Sal on that too. The rumor is Sony, because we were talking about post Venom. Like, what are we doing with Noel? What are we doing? Apparently, Sony they still want to make their Sinister Six movie, and it's gonna be Venom, Vulture, Morbius, Madam Web, Craven, and then I guess some other person that we haven't introduced yet.
Is it Lady Venom, Blondie?
Yeah, Juno Temple. So we have two Venoms on our
What are we
Sinister
calling her?
Six.
Lightning Venom?
Yeah, whatever.
Lightning?
Here's the name. It's like Phage or something. I don't remember the name of the character from the comics. And they're going to team up to fight Null. And it's just one of those like, Sony, give it up, man. Just let it go. let it go.
I thought that we saw him in some Marvel movie, but I guess we did not. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So everybody get excited for Sinister Six coming 2020. I don't know. I feel like Venom 3 isn't as making as much money as the previous Venom movies. And it's like, that was your one. Madam Web was a disaster. Morbius was a disaster. You need to let it go. You need to let the dream die.
Or not. Keep trying.
Sure.
Sweetie.
Sure. Also, fucking a Sinister Six. That's like Madam Web and Venom. And oh my God, what are we doing? What are we doing? Okay. But listen, that's in the Sonyverse. All right. That's not even what we're talking about. We're talking about mainstream MCU. We're going to go through each of the projects that Marvel has dropped post Endgame, starting with WandaVision, which came out in 2021. And here's the good news about WandaVision, Roxy. Most of it pays off. All right. We had Monica Rambeau going to space. We got that paid off in Marvels. We got Vision surviving in his ghostly white form. We're getting a Vision Quest something in the future. And then it ends with Wanda studying the Darkhold, which of course got paid off in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. We're starting off strong.
And then whatever spinoff they announced to Agatha all along, that kind of started that too.
Yeah. What you're talking about specifically about Agatha all along, or did they announce a spinoff after Agatha? Okay.
Now they've said there's going to be some kind of a season 2, but I don't think they announced that it's going to be an Agatha all along. I think it's going to be like what WandaVision was to Agatha all along. Just saying the domino
That's
effect.
funny that's the one. This Wanda Agatha train is the one that they seem to be.
Choo choo.
Yeah, that and Loki. Loki got 2 seasons. Otherwise, you're one and done.
I forgot Loki had 2 seasons because I've been thinking all week that these shows don't really get second seasons.
Yeah, Loki was and I think because Loki was the first announced, so I think it like squeaked by that they thought like maybe we should do multiple seasons, and then they're like, no, never mind. Yeah. Actually, we're not going to do that. So,
the Loki post credit or whatever ending, I don't know how that one ended up paying off. We'll get there. Go ahead.
We'll get there. I do think, and I want this in the back of your mind as we move forward. It makes me wonder if it's better instead of like teasing stuff long term, because I was trying to think about the teases that worked in Marvel's The Infinity Saga phases 1 through 3, and it felt like mostly they teed up the next movie. Like at the end of Captain America Winter Soldier, there's a post-credit tease that teases Avengers Age of Ultron, which either came out that summer or the next summer. You know what I mean? It's not like we'll get to this 5 years from now, other than like maybe Thanos, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that's a Marvel specific thing?
Which part? They're kind of like teasing up the next. I'm thinking because I'm wondering what feels different about these, and it feels like they're teeing stuff that could never occur, might happen 5 years ago, as opposed to what they used to do, which is, hey, next summer, check this out. You know, like WandaVision. I think these teases in WandaVision work because it's mostly like, hey, next summer, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, here you go. You know what I mean? Like, we already know what we're leading to, as opposed to, here's the thing. Will something come of it? Who's to say?
Yeah, that isn't. I'm wondering why you would tease something 5 years from now, other than just to get people like to be non-committal.
Yeah. Do people like this? Are you gonna like this? Yeah. Okay, here's where the wheels start to come off a little bit, Roxy. So next up was Falcon and Winter Soldier, which also came out in 2021. If I recall, both of you liked it. You and I liked it fine, more than most maybe.
I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it too. So what pays off? The reveal, Sam officially accepts the shield and becomes the new Captain America. We've got Captain America 4 Brave New World coming out next year. U.S. Agent is recruited by DeFontaine, which is paying off in Thunderbolts. So both of those are good. Here's the one. Here's where it's like, what is this even meant to tee up? If you recall, we find out that Sharon Carter, niece of Peggy Carter, is the power broker post snap, and she's like arming villains or something like that. I forget what the power broker does. She's semi-antagonistic, and it ends with her taking a mysterious phone call that makes it look like she's about ready to like sell state secrets or sell out our heroes. And then radio silence. I thought this might pay off in Secret Invasion. I'm gonna go check now to see
if she was a scroll, and that's why she.
And it's like that would have been, at least if it was in Secret Invasion, at least then Secret Invasion would have had something. that would have been something.
That's the last time we saw her.
Yeah, that's the last time we've seen Sharon Carter. I'm gonna look up.
Yeah, I remember us all being like,
yeah. And at the time, there were rumors that she was supposed to be talking to like Norman Osborn, because we keep trying to like, is it going to be Spider-Man? It's like, no, man, that's Sony. We're never going to get a Spider-Man tease.
But now, if that does pay off, it's so long after the fact.
Like, I don't even know if anybody remembers. I'm going to look up Emily Van Camp.
Until you told me.
Huh?
I didn't until you just told me. Yeah, what's Emily Van Camp up to?
Yeah, because I'm going to see if she's in the new Captain America. Nope. She showed up in an episode of What If. She's in a show called The Resident and Miranda's Victim. And then she's got this project coming out called Prejudice, which does not mean that she won't be in the new Captain America, but they sure haven't. I don't even know how that factor in. Or like Thunderbolts. This could pay off in Thunderbolts, one presumes.
I think it would make more sense in Cap.
Yeah. But not radio. So I guess we're just done.
Time for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Huh.
Wild. Let us know in the comments.
Just to put in your head, mystery.
Mike Joy says maybe she's talking to the leader or Val. Yeah, and that could pay off in either Captain America or Thunderbolts. But I'm going to look up, sorry, everybody. I'm going to look up Sharon Carter real quick just to see if... Anyway, yeah, it doesn't. I don't see anything talking about where that might pay off in any sort of way. Let us know where you think, if this pays off, where it might pay off. Okay, next in line we have Shang-Chi, which also came out in 2021. I skipped over Black Widow. Black Widow mostly paid off because the Black Widow tease led right into Hawkeye. Because if you remember. DeFontaine, I'm blanking on the actress's name. Roxy, help me out. Why am I Veep?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yes, thank you.
The second somebody asks you about something, it's like panic first.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, I know this. I do know this.
Yeah. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, the character she's playing, because it's like something Valentina.
That paid off, but the school didn't pay off.
The Black Widow school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't they blow it up though? Isn't that done? Didn't we finish that?
What happened?
Didn't they blow up the Black Widow school? I thought the only tease in Black Widow was that she got sent after Hawkeye, which paid off on Hawkeye.
I remember just seeing this school and thinking like, oh, we're going to follow some of these people.
Yeah. Good job. Good. We're doing good, Marvel. We're doing a good job keeping track of all the threads here.
You guys tell me, am I making that up, or did you guys think there was going to be something to do with all of these other widows?
Yeah. Well, there's going to be a character that is a former Black Widow in Cap 4. So you might get a little bit of follow-up there. So back in 2021, Shang-Chi, the post-credit scene, we got 2 post-credit scenes. Neither of them have paid off so far. The first one is Wong, along with Bruce Banner and Carol Danvers, discuss the origin of the Mandarin's rings, which they claim are acting like a beacon. To what? I know a lot of speculation. At least my speculation at the time is maybe Fing Fang Foom. But Shang-Chi 2 feels more up in the air than ever. So don't know about
this one clearly, like a lot of the post credits set them up for a different movie. This was clearly set up for Shang-Chi.
Yes.
But we didn't get it.
Why haven't we gotten a Shang-Chi 2? Why is Shang-Chi 2 up in the air? What's going on? Because I thought it did well.
Let's look.
And because because it's post-pandemic, so it's not going to blow the doors off. But like for a post-pandemic movie, I thought it did well. The 2 post-credit scenes both tease up sequels.
It made 432. So I don't think that's great considering what the budget probably was.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But we're also talking about 2021, so like you can't hold it against that. Like
the budget was 150 mil to 200 mil, and this says it made 360 mil worldwide at the box office.
Leonard Kim says the box office is comparable to Eternals, and people can't wait to get rid of Eternals.
I think they did get rid of Eternals, right?
Oh, they did.
I mean,
they did.
I have no hope. I really liked Eternals. That got me so excited.
I liked Eternals as well. Stacey Guetta asks, what do you think they were setting up with Shang-Chi's rings? Were they trying to set up Fin Fang Foom for a sequel? That's my theory, Stacey, that was supposed to be.
Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so something like they revealed that the rings, I believe, were alien in origin, and that they were sending some sort of beacon somewhere to somebody. And I don't know how it got into my head or other people's heads that it was Fin Fang Foom. I think maybe it was a residual excitement when we started talking about dragons in the first one. I'm like, ooh, Fin Fang Foom. And they're like, no, it's going to be.
That's what I meant. Tell me more about who's that character.
Okay, so Fin Fang Foom is one of the more I would say he's a big green dragon in purple trunks. So he's kind of one of the more outlandish Marvel characters, but he is iconic, and he is typically connected to the Mandarin. And so it wouldn't, now that we've kind of siphoned the Mandarin over to Shang-Chi, it wouldn't be a huge reach. And we're also living in a day and age where like Starro shows up in a movie. You know what I mean? So we could do Fin Fang Foom. And I think him being a big kind of iconic dragon, like the iconic dragon in the Marvel universe, when Shang-Chi, I know for me as a fan, when they were talking about dragons and there's an evil dragon, and then they're like, it's the Dweller in Darkness. I'm like, no, nobody cares about dude, have it be Fin Fang Foom. Come on. I think I don't know if there was any traction to the signal being Fin Fang Foom, although he is an alien, so it being an alien origin, or if it was just fans' hearts being like, at least give us that. At least do that. The other tease was Shang-Chi's sister, Jia Ling, becomes the new leader of the Ten Rings, which I know for me interested me because you called the movie Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, and then you didn't really do anything with the it didn't end up really being about the rings, the weapons, the rings didn't end up being
about. They were relevant.
They were relevant, but it wasn't really about them or the organization. And I liked the part of Shang-Chi that was more grounded. So I'm like, this conflict with his sister interests me more than him fighting aliens, personally.
You and I felt the same way about that.
Yeah.
I love the things about Shang-Chi that I loved the most were the characters.
Yeah.
And the things that I liked the least were the third act CGI.
Yeah.
So I was really excited for a second one because I feel like that was kind of how people felt, and they might have listened to that.
Yeah. But we may never know.
Yes or no, from you guys at home and from you, DJ, yes or no, will we ever get the Shang-Chi 2?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think no.
Okay.
Because I can't really articulate to you why no, but I think no. You know?
Yeah.
Here's my concern, Roxy, if I may express my concern why the answer would be no. I think my concern is because things have been a little shakier for Marvel of late. They're a little panicked to the point where they're casting Iron Man as Doctor Doom. And I think maybe the message came down from on high, be like, play the hits. You know what I mean? We want Captain America's, we want Iron Man's, we want Thor's. None of this Shang-Chi shit. If they're not a white dude or a black, the only thing we're going to let slip by the white dude barrier is maybe a Black Panther. Even that's a little shaky now that Chadwick Boseman's not in the mix. That's my concern. That's the reasoning of why we're not getting a Shang-Chi 2.
I think that if I had to say yes or no ever, I kind of think yes for the same reason that you think no, because I feel like Shang-Chi they might think could be a hit more than introducing this thing that they seem to be very averse to is introducing new Avengers.
Yeah.
That's who they seem to not be bringing up to the big leagues. So,
well,
they're like, oh, he snuck by. He already is in.
In your defense, there is a 6-year, in defense of your argument, there is a 6-year gap between Doctor Strange movies. Doctor Strange came out in 2016. Granted, there's also a pandemic in there, but Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness came out in 2022. And it's been, so this is, Shang-Chi was 2021, so it's been, 3 years? Granted, we had an Avengers movie in between there that we saw Doctor Strange. It's not like he vanished off the map for 6 years.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So moving on to, as mentioned in the chat, Eternals, which Roxy and I both liked, and Sal, by the way, who's on the show regularly, also we all liked Eternals. Again, like we were talking about with the Acolyte, not perfect, but liked, enjoyed.
I remember being stoked about this post credit.
Yeah. So we got two. We got the end of the movie, which the movie ends with the Eternal Arishem showing up to abduct so the group of Eternals, if nobody remembers that movie, they split into two groups. One stayed on Earth, one went to space. The ones that stayed on Earth got sucked up by Arishem, who's going to because they foiled the Eternals, they're the Eternals, the Celestial. There it is. They foiled the Celestials' plans to make a new Celestial out of Earth. So Arishem is like, I'm going to judge and see whether you guys should be punished or not. That is how the movie ended, which is, of course, a tee up, like a pretty obvious tee up to Eternals 2.
Right.
Then we get the post-credit scene, which introduced a new Eternal, Eros, played by Harry Styles, and Pip the Troll, who was played by Patton Oswalt. And they introduced themselves to the Eternals that are in space. I don't remember what that... he says something like, "I got a secret to tell you," and then more credits. I don't remember. I don't remember what he said.
Yeah, he walks in, delivers. The theater gasped, and that was it.
That was it. He's like, "I'm Thanos' brother, and I've got to tell you." Roll credits. Like what? Okay. And then the last one, and this might be for a variety of reasons.
Can we speak about the Harry Styles one
please?
For a second, though?
Yes,
Harry
please.
It's when I said I love the post-credit scene for Eternals, I wasn't talking about the Harry Styles one. I was talking about the next one, which we'll talk about momentarily. But the Harry Styles one is so crazy because let's just talk about what had to happen behind the scenes in order to get Harry Styles to do this.
Yeah.
And what do you think they told him? Don't worry, you only need to appear for this, and you'll never be in another Marvel movie ever again.
No, this was definitely going to be an Eternals 2, and then it's now not going to happen.
But now that's Harry Styles.
Yes.
It's just now Harry Styles is never going to be.
Well, as we'll see in the next, the next two, there's a slate of 3 movies where it looked like, to keep things secret, what Marvel ended up doing was like pulling in, casting a known quantity from the comics, but doing in a post-credit scene that they could probably shoot on green screen with nobody else there to keep it a secret. And they did that for 3 movies, and all 3 of them I don't know will ever get paid off.
It's just so crazy to me that Harry Styles is like the biggest gateway to the youths.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the equivalent of having Taylor Swift show up at the end of your movie.
Yeah.
In this new big role, and then being like, haha.
Bye-bye.
It's just like, that is so, and I'm sure his team thought he was going to be in another movie.
He definitely probably signed a multi-movie contract.
Multi-movie contract.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now, like, when does that expire?
Good question.
Or when can they call on him?
Good question.
Just so many thoughts about what goes on, because this is maybe the biggest celebrity in the MCU in the last 10 years might be Harry Styles.
Harry Styles is that big?
Yeah, Harry Styles is like, he's like one of the biggest stars on the planet.
Yeah.
I can't personally name his songs, but he is. I mean, let me look how many followers this mofo has on Instagram.
Tell us.
Like Harry Styles. I'm not saying he's quite as big as Taylor Swift, but he is the biggest male pop star.
Yeah.
Harry Styles and BTS might be the two biggest. Like, let's see.
Let's pull it up.
Harry Styles has 50 million followers. Okay, I would think maybe a little more.
Yeah.
Kind of stingy on the followers.
I will say 50 million is a tad higher than my amount of followers.
50 million is a little more than how many followers I have.
Yeah. Just
by about 50 million.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. My amount of followers is a rounding error in that 50 million.
I gotta look 100%. I gotta look at what he's doing on TikTok. He's just a huge megastar, and I'm not saying like he's the biggest actor of. Obviously, I don't think that at all.
That's the weird thing about Eternals is Angelina Jolie was in Eternals. Like they really went hard into Eternals, and it just didn't pay off.
He's not on TikTok, but let me tell you about the TikTok fan accounts he has.
Yeah.
Harry Styles Faves has 230,000 followers.
Wild.
For a fan account.
So that was the one tease for Eternals. Then we got this one. We introduced Jon Snow himself, Kit Harington playing Dane Whitman, who you may know as the Black Knight from the comics. And he just saw his girlfriend get sucked up into space by a space god. And so he finds the ebony blade, which is the signature weapon of Black Knight. And then we hear a voice off screen say something. I'm like, are you ready for that? And there's a lot of speculation of who it would be. And I believe it was confirmed that it was Mahershala Ali's blade. And so on multiple, so this is, to me, this might be the most egregious one because it's multiple not paying things off. Like,
yeah. So do you think that the intention was for this to pay off in an Eternals 2 or in a Blade movie or where, like?
No fucking idea. Where do you, this would go to if, which I still think I stand by that this is what they should have done, but whatever, I'm backseat producing or whatever. If this would pay off if you did a West Coast Avengers movie or a new event, however you want to brand it, New Avengers, whatever. That's where you pay off a Black Knight. I don't know where else you fit in Black Knight. He's such a, Black Knight is only, to my mind, Black Knight's always kind of been around, but to me, for the audience that you're playing to, he's most associated with a very specific era of Avengers. That's Black Knight's deal. And so there's no way it pays off in Blade. I don't even know why they have Blade talk to him. Like, there's no way you're paying off Black Knight in Blade. That doesn't make any sense.
So riddle me this. I want your honest assessment of this.
Yeah.
At the time that they made this a post-credit scene, do you think they had a plan or no plan?
No plan. I'm going to say no plan. And I think this was one of a few that like, we'll figure it out. It'll be fine. We're Marvel. We can do no wrong. There'll be a place that this fits.
You think zero plan?
I think zero plan for this one.
Wow.
I think for this specific one, we'll figure it out.
It feels to me like there's no world in which they could have had a plan for this one.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, that one, I was excited about this when it happened because I was like, ooh,
yeah, this
is cool. And that, because I just liked the movie, hearing like what we thought was Mahershala's voice was like, oh,
yeah.
And this was just exciting. And then no part of it.
Crickets. And here's the thing, gang. I want to see Black Knight. I like Black Knight. I have a very specific image of Black Knight in my brain. It's a guy in medieval armor that has a leather Avengers jacket over that armor. And to me, little kid DJ, that shit was cool. Like, I like Black Knight. So I want to see Black Knight. You know where they should have paid this off? Kit Harington should have showed up in Black Knight and Deadpool and Wolverine. He should have been one of the like abandoned heroes with Gambit, like standing next to Gambit. And he's like, wait, I don't belong here. They're definitely going to pay me off. And they're like, no, man, they're not.
That would have been amazing. But maybe they still think they're paying him off. I don't know.
I mean, maybe he could show up in one of the Doomsday or Secret Wars, but I just don't think that's gonna. I don't think we're ever gonna see anything from Eternals ever again.
Wow, that's such a bummer because they had so many stars.
Yes.
Not to mention Barry Keoghan.
Yes. Yeah. For real. Yeah. I think we had a question. Jake Hefner from the Discord, as someone in the minority who actually really liked Eternals, since talks of a sequel have ended, Where do you think we could see the Eternals pop up again? Do you think we'll actually get a satisfying conclusion to the end of the first movie, or just a rushed hand wave of an explanation? Roxy, can I tell you? Because I think on one of these shows Sal and I do, I think we stumbled across what could have been a pretty fucking bitchin' follow-up to the Eternals.
Yes, I would love to hear.
Okay. Do Thor 5 and have it be Thor teams up with the Eternals. And it's like, we're going to pay off. And you kind of make it a backdoor.
But does Taika need to do it?
No, I would give Taika a break from the Thor movies, as much as Ragnarok is easily the best of them. Maybe do somebody else. No, you get why am I blanking? The director of Eternals. You get her back, and you say listen,
Chloe.
Yeah, listen, we're not doing it.
Zhao. Is that the director?
I'm pulling it up right now. Chloe Zhao. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah. You say, listen, sorry, we're not doing Eternals 2.
Chloe Dreyfus.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing. We're not doing Eternals 2. But on the Thor camp, Chris Hemsworth's been talking about like he wants to kind of change direction like they did with Ragnarok. You want to come over and do a Thor where Thor teams up with the Eternals and we kind of make it a Pantheon movie. We have Hercules show up. Guys, we're getting there. That tease. And we have Black Knight show back up. And so it kind of becomes like a backdoor Avengers movie. Like the Thor 5 is now like this weird little corner of the Avengers mythos from the comics. And
when and where would they do this?
I have no fucking clue, Roxy, but I'd watch the shit out of that. That could be really. I think seeing Thor bounce off like Cersei and Black Knight and Hercules and maybe some of the other Eternals, Harry Styles, Eros, like that's a movie.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
I think what's interesting is, and who wrote that into the chat, or who wrote that?
That was Jake Hefner.
Jake Hafner wrote that. Mike Joyce in here said Eternals is my favorite MCU movie post Endgame. You and I liked Eternals. Sal liked Eternals.
Yeah.
There seemingly is more love for Eternals than we talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's hard for me not to like a movie, especially in today's day and age, where you have all your protagonists be going after this one goal and then they realize like, wait a second. Are we the baddies? Have we been lied to? Are we doing a bad thing? It's like, that's relatable. That's a relatable perspective.
And they cast very good performers.
Yes, they did.
It was really good. And Chloe made it look unbelievable.
Looked dope. The final fight looked dope. Sorry, everybody. It looked better than Justice League. The speedster stuff and the what's his face.
The fight looked amazing. But even good. From the beginning, the landscapes. Like I wonder who actually was the cinematographer on that.
Let's see.
That movie looked very good.
It was a beautiful movie. Let's maybe do it.
And it looked different.
Yeah, it looked different. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm not gonna be able to pull this up quickly enough. We got to keep trucking along. Okay. Where are we? Dude, we've got so many. All right, I'm going to try and get through these.
Sometimes I do that on this show where I try to look something up quickly while we're talking about it, but then I'm still talking to you and I can't get there. It's so hard.
Okay, all right. Here we go. So we did Eternals. Now we're in 2022. We got Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. The big one there is, again, of our big, here's a new character that may or may not show up. We've got Doctor Strange gets a third eye that is, I can't remember the thing with the third eye, but the bigger thing is we get Charlize Theron as Clea, who is his Doctor Strange's main love interest in the comics. And Charlize Theron, great. This is another one. Like, Charlize Theron, a great actress in a role that if you're a fan of Doctor Strange, you're aware of. I do think of the ones we are more likely to get a Doctor Strange 3 than some of the other things we've been talking about.
You know, it's my absolute least favorite character in the MCU and my least favorite movies. And she is my number one favorite actress of all time.
She's a great.
So the one thing that could get me excited about a Doctor Strange movie would be Charlize.
Yeah.
I have zero interest in a third Doctor Strange movie otherwise.
Yeah.
So maybe this is good. And talk about replaying the hits.
Mm-hmm.
To them, he's a hit.
Yeah.
So I could see this.
It's safe. It's a safer bet. There's been talks, I guess, of Sam Raimi talking about returning for 3, which would get me happy. All right, now
we're in like Fast and the Furious and this friend. I mean, sometimes she does like funny things.
Hey, listen, she's got bills to pay. One assumes. Thor: Love and Thunder, also in 2022. Thor adopts Gore's daughter Love, who wields Stormbreaker, and then Zeus is like embarrassed by Thor, and he reveals his son Hercules, played by Brett Goldstein of Ted Lasso. And Zeus sends Hercules to go like fight Thor. And then the last post-credit scene is Jane Foster arriving in Valhalla and is greeted by Heimdall. I don't think that's not a tease for anything. The Hercules one is the big one. Do you think we will see Brett Goldstein's Hercules ever again?
I don't know. I'm glad he popped up on Shrinking because I love Brett Goldstein.
He's great.
I when this happened in Thor: Love and Thunder, I remember audibly being like, "What? What?"
Yeah.
But people seemed stoked for this. I love Brett. I don't know where's this go?
If we do a Thor 5, probably
with the Eternals and
yeah. That's my pitch. That would be my pitch. You make it a Pantheon movie. The Eternals kind of count as a Pantheon. They've got godlike powers. You throw Hercules in there. I think you're cooking with gas on that one, but maybe that's just me. Next we have Black Panther.
What do you think about the love? What about the adopting?
Oh, I don't know, dude. I think you could easily handwave that. She's like the daughter of. She's resurrected by eternity. I think they said, didn't she have like eternity powers or whatever? Just in the next Thor movie, just be like, yeah, she was superpowered, and so she grew up really fast, and now because it's Chris Hemsworth's actual daughter. And it's like, I don't like that. I don't like that shit. I don't like
Black Panther's kid and Thor's kid fall in love.
Yeah.
And have a sitcom.
Have a sitcom together. Well, speaking of Black Panther's kid, in Wakanda Forever, Shuri learns that Nakia and T'Challa had a son, Toussaint, aka T'Challa. Which again, like, fucking why? Anyway,
it was weird how closely back to back these were, with both of those being that. I remember just thinking, like, wow, do they communicate at all? Like, this is what we're doing. It made more sense with the Black Panther one because of like legacy purposes and after what happened with Chadwick Boseman and them wanting to live on and set up for the future of Black Panther. I kind of understood a little bit more, but that did come second after the Thor one, and it was just like, wait, what?
Yeah. Are we even getting a Black Panther 3?
I don't know.
That's a bummer. You know what, Roxy? I do think this, Hector, if you're out there, cover your ears. I do think maybe they're sitting on some of the stuff for light reboot after Secret Wars, and so maybe they're waiting for Black Panther 3 when they can be like, here's our new T'Challa. Either it's an aged up version of his son, or we just cast a new actor. You can do that. You can just cast a new actor.
It is possible.
Yeah, it is possible. We've done it before. Moon Knight, also in 2022. Mark rejects Khonshu, but a third personality is introduced, Jake Lockley, who still works for Khonshu and kills Ethan Hawke's character Harrow. Do you think we'll ever get less about this tease? Do you think we'll ever see Moon Knight again?
I don't even remember any part of that tease.
Cool, good.
I think we are going to get Moon Knight again. Yes.
Yeah.
In about 15 years as a new actor.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Roxy's rule of we'll get everything again eventually. Yeah. Somewhere in the universe, it'll happen again.
Remember Hector saying, no, we won't?
Yeah. No actor will ever be recast ever again. Yeah, but as a Moon Knight fan, I still hold out hope we'll get a good Moon Knight. Miss Marvel mostly pays off. Miss Marvel leads directly into the Marvels. We got the Marvels, pays off.
That kind of makes sense because I liked Miss Marvel and I liked the Marvels. Mm-hmm. So
well, and again, those direct, hey, here's the next thing next year. Those ones appear to be safer bets.
And it wasn't my favorite movie, but Miss Marvel was one of the best parts of the movie. Like, yes, I liked her chemistry.
Agreed. Yeah. The chemistry between the three leads was great. It was a lot of fun. It just wasn't, it didn't blow my mind. It was just fun. It was just fun. Mm-hmm. She-Hulk ends with the introduction of Hulk's son, Scar. I don't care about this one, Roxy, and I'll tell you why. Everybody got really pissy about it, but I like to point out that this was a joke. They joke about we're gonna tease some stupid character at the end. You know what I mean? Like that's how these things end. We're gonna tease some character, whatever, and then they do that thing. It's a joke. I don't care if they pay off Scar. That's not the point. Within the context of the show, it's a joke.
Another teasing of somebody's kid.
In the show's defense, this kid exists in the comics, unlike Love and Toussaint.
It was a joke in the show's defense.
And it's a joke, and it's
what they have done. Yeah. I mean, you and I can talk about this show until we're blue in the face because She-Hulk to me is so fun, so great, so lovable. I would watch a She-Hulk season 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
the way it ended, I'm not exactly sure how they would fully do it, but I would watch the show over and over again. The people have spoken. They hated it.
Yeah.
So not surprised that they wouldn't be going anywhere with this.
Yeah. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania in 2023. We reveal the Council of Kangs. Roxy, what do you think we're going to do with it? What do you think we're going to do with the Council of Kangs?
We're going to keep them. We're going to keep them all. No, listen, I actually loved this movie. Nobody else loved this movie. I loved this movie. I'm on an island.
Yeah.
Kang was kind of my least favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know whether it had already started to color my vision of him or what, but I used to think he was an unbelievable actor. I didn't think that he performed in this. But I love Ant-Man. So I did like this a lot, and I thought the visuals were really cool. This is the one that we're dropping more than any other post-credit. I mean, this is the definitive. Actually, we are canceling your movie.
Yes.
And we are switching entirely, and we were canceling it so hard that we're going back to Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. Although I will say, now that I think about it, they did kind of resolve this in Loki season 2. Like, hey, the TVA is just taking care of Kang's. Kang's off the board.
That's when I started to not like Kang even more.
Yeah.
Him in Loki season 2, I felt like he was phoning it in like crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did. Mm-hmm.
So in 2023, we got Guardians. We're still in 2023. We got Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which introduced a new team of Guardians at the end of that movie. And it did end specifically with, they did this more in the Infinity Saga era, but it ended with their movies would end with Iron Man will return or Captain America will return, like those words. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 ended with Star-Lord will return. I had heard rumors. I have no idea how accurate they are, because it's like online bullshit. So who knows? That maybe Spider-Man will team up with Star-Lord in the next Spider-Man movie. But I do think the Guardians are popular enough that they will at least pop up in one of these new Avengers movies.
Is Star-Lord the one that you would want to see the most?
No.
Do you think Star-Lord is the one that America would want to see the most?
Hard to say.
Okay.
If you had to say who you think America would want to see the most.
I think it's Star-Lord.
Yeah, maybe. He is kind of the face of the franchise, but I was like, Rocket's there.
He's just, to me, like, not the most interesting, and not the funniest, and he's not my favorite of them.
Yeah.
So he would be lower on my list, but I do think he is very well loved. I'm just talking about the character right now.
Yeah.
Also, the human, I think, is a little divisive, but the character I think is super well loved, and I don't hate the character. If you were talking about who's teaming up with Spider-Man, it wouldn't be my first choice.
Yeah, for real. In later that year, we got The Marvels, which ends with Monica Rambeau in an alternate universe where she meets a version of her mom and Kelsey Grammer's Beast. It also ends with Miss Marvel recruiting Kate Bishop for the Young Avengers, which I don't know that we need to spend more time on. You and I have repeatedly been like, what are we doing with this, gang?
Young Avengers TV show. Set it. If we're not going to the big screen, set the show.
Yeah, give us a date.
They're not.
Yeah.
I forgot about the Monica waking up in the parallel universe, and I think in the screening, everybody was like, ugh.
Yeah, but I do think this has the most, because of the beast of it all, I think this has the most likelihood of paying off in Secret Wars, one of our multiverse movies.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Secret Invasion ends with Emilia Clarke's character Ji-Ya having like every Avenger power. And Nick Fury and his Skrull wife go to negotiate a peace deal with the Kree. War Machine was replaced by a Skrull for who knows how long. We didn't find that out. And we are told there's global unrest as people don't know who are Skrulls and who are not. I'm going to say this right now, Roxy. I don't think any of this ever gets mentioned again, ever.
This show didn't work for them for so many different reasons.
Yeah.
This was one of the biggest letdowns that people were so excited about.
Yeah.
And just honestly, as you're saying this, this is only 1 year ago.
Yep.
A year and a half ago.
And you blanked it out, didn't you?
I feel like I got memory wiped.
Yep, you ejected it from your memory.
Because there was some point, I watched every episode of the show, but
Same.
At some point I really stopped watching it.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching it, but I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, oh man, this is not for me anymore. And like, when you are watching something and you're like, they clearly think they have a mother effing hit on their hands.
Yep.
And I was like, whoa, we've lost the plot.
Yes. Yes, we have. So, last things, Loki ended with Loki being like King of Time or something. That technically doesn't need to get paid off, but it could show up in one of the Avengers movies. Echo sets
and
up.
Will.
And
I
think
it
it will.
will.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I agree. Echo ended with Fisk deciding to run for mayor. That will get paid off in Daredevil Born Again. Deadpool.
Unless it doesn't.
Sure, yeah. Deadpool and Wolverine ended with Logan joining Wade on his world. Those two characters will definitely show up in at least one of those Avengers movies, probably Secret Wars.
Okay, so the three most recent things, Loki, Echo, and Deadpool Wolverine, we think all of those things are going to be paid off.
Good point. Yes, yes, we do. So maybe lessons are being learned.
Or maybe a really lucky coincidence.
Yeah, maybe. Before we head out, we're running a little long, but before we head out, a couple questions from the Discord. Mike Joyce asked, which post-credit scene would you be least interested in seeing them follow up on?
Okay. Anything from Secret Invasion.
Yes.
I would be least interested in seeing them follow up on Kang.
Yeah, good point. I was going to say Secret Invasion, but Kang is that's a good one. Clementine asks, I'm beginning to wonder if Marvel ever had a plan when they would do post-credit teases in the first 3 phases. Maybe it was easier for them to pick those ideas back up when there were fewer of them, as opposed to now where their output is so overwhelming. I think there is something in there.
I actually don't hate that. Like, I do think sometimes post-credit things are just scenes or mid are just supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And as long as it doesn't like really alter the universe, what you're trying to say, I think it's fun to have something there. And there's no intention on touching back. But when you do something like this is switching over to Camp DC, remember on the boat when they introduced
Deathstroke.
Like,
yeah.
Deathstroke, Lex Luthor. I mean, it was about to be a whole damn thing.
Yeah.
And then it was like NVM not doing that.
Yeah.
That's egregious to me. That's the most egregious one. So
let us know I do think it was easier back in the day because you could just tee up the whatever the next thing is. Like I think Iron Man 2 ends with a tease of Thor because that was the next thing. You know what I mean? Like Thor ends with a tease of Captain America. Mm-hmm. I think that was more manageable and maybe a good thing to look back on. But let us know in the comments what teases you'd like to see the most pay off and maybe what teases you're least interested in. And let us know where you think Black Knight should show up. Roxy, remind the kids at home where they can find you.
Everywhere at Roxy Stryer, and this November 12th, Crust comes out on VOD. I think you can actually order a physical copy now on Amazon. So
hell yeah, check that out. I definitely will, but you can find me at DJ Talks Trash everywhere that matters. I'm going to be trying to do more posting on Blue Sky because that seems to be where everybody's going. So we'll see how
they.
That's what I see. A lot of posts of people going to Blue Sky. Why? Just because Twitter helped usher in more fascism? Come on, gang. So anyway,
he literally is our president now.
Yeah, cool. Love that these tech oligarchs have all the levers for how we communicate with each other. It's so cool. No notes. You can find the show everywhere that matters at Only Stupid Answers, but on Twitter/X.
You ain't got the vowels from stupid.
Yeah. And you can see us all next time. Bye, everybody.